So we had left on the point of trial balance. We had just written a note on that, I think. Now we'll continue back with the reference of trial balance only, and then we'll continue and start with the topic of rectification of errors. Now what happens is, if you remember the original flow of transactions, which you must have done it recently also, every business will have the events first. These events are then converted into a transaction if there is a flow of money or money's worth. These transactions you record in your subsidiary books, or you record that in the journal. Now, once you have recorded these transactions in the subsidiary books or the journal, from there you do the posting thereof to the ledger. These ledgers are balanced and we prepare a summary statement, what we call as a trial balance. So we are at that process of accounting which is called as summarizing. Accounting is a process of recording, classifying and summarizing. When you're preparing the trial balance, that means you're trying to summarize the different transactions in your books of accounts. Now, why are we preparing this summary? This summary is basically prepared to understand, to know whether my ledger account balances match with each other or not. I want to confirm the arithmetic accuracy of the financial statements. To confirm the arithmetic accuracy of the ledger accounts. For this purpose, you prepare the trial balance. तो आप जो भी प्रोसेस करोगे, whatever recording that you have done, whatever posting that you have done, these all transactions recorded, posted, and then those ledger accounts are balanced to understand, to know that whether in the form of the values arithmetically my ledger accounts are correct or not. Now, why do we do it? As the name itself suggests, we are trying out the balances, whether those are correct or not. Because these are the ledger balances based on which we are going to prepare our financial statements. जो ultimately हम लोग profit and loss account या फिर balance sheet बनाने वाले हैं, that will be based on these balances which are provided through us in the through the trial balance to us. So the second purpose of trial balance is to provide information to prepare all financial statements. Means if you want to prepare your profit and loss account, your balance sheet, for that you'll be requiring the different ledger account balances, and those different ledger account balances will be provided to you through the trial balance. So that's why it is said that trial balance is a summary of all ledger account balances. All ledger account means what? Whether it is real account, whether it is nominal account, whether it is personal account, all the ledger account balances will be presented, will be provided to you in the trial balance. If you look at the format of trial balance, when you prepare the format of trial balance, the trial balance can be prepared in a statement form, it can be prepared in an account form. either which way you want, you can prepare it. There is no problem on that front. You'll have the columns. If I'm preparing that in the statement form, you'll have the columns as serial number, ledger name, that is particulars, debit amount thereof, and credit amount thereof. So you'll have the columns as serial number, particulars, debit rupees, and credit rupees. So all the ledger accounts that you have prepared, I hope you have been hearing me. अब तक आपको नींद नहीं आई है, is what I can understand. Are you all with me? Can you raise hands for me? All raise hand. All raise hand, please. Do not lower it. Do not lower it. इस बहाने मुझे पता भी चल जाता है कि कितने लोग मेरे पास बैठे हैं. Do not lower your hands. 13 लोग absent हो गए. 10 लोग. 10 people are absent. Just wait. Just wait. Let me see those names. Just a moment. Who is it? Yeah, it is Atarp Kadam, Devendra Jain, Janvi Jadhav, Mangesh Dhavde, Prajwal Patil, Pranav Moghe, Rohit Harsure, Siona, and Sohan. These people have switched on the videos or audios and they have gone to somewhere. I can understand this. I can seriously understand this. Well, that's fine. मेरे घर में भी बच्चे ऑनलाइन लेक्चर अटेंड कर रहे होते हैं, तो मुझे किसकी क्या हरकतें हो सकती है बहुत अच्छी तरह से पता है. Siona, you didn't raise the hand then. If you are here only. Anyways, still 2-5 बंदे तो मिल ही जाते हैं. क्या पता कहां से आते हैं ये लोग. अरे करते हैं भूषण, ऐसे क्या बात कर रहा है. ओके ओके, यू ऑल आर हियर, डोंट वरी, ठीक है. मैं अभी तक के किसी को एसएमएस या फिर मेल नहीं करता हूँ. डोंट वरी यू पीपल. हाल फिलहाल मैंने किसी को कोई मेल नहीं की है. मैं किसी के पेरेंट्स को नहीं बुलाता हूँ. यस. सो अच्छा, मेल करना शुरू करूं. नहीं, मुझे खौफ की जरूरत ही नहीं है बेटा. तुम लोग इतने अच्छे बच्चे हो, कहां से खौफ तैयार करूं मैं मेरा. देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ. यू आर द गुड बॉयज, गुड गर्ल्स, यू नो. खुद को भरोसा नहीं आ रहा है. रक्षिता हंस रही है, देखो. खुद को भी भरोसा नहीं है. सर हम सच में इतने अच्छे बच्चे हैं, हमको तो आज रियलाइज हुआ. वेल एनीवेज, सो मत जाना इवन इफ इट इज दोपहर का टाइम. The point is what when you are preparing the trial balance, you are going to present in this all the ledger account balances. Means you'll be preparing and presenting the ledger account balances related to the assets, incomes, expenses, and liabilities or not. So भोले भाले नन्हे मुन्ने बच्चे, अब्बास ये थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया. Asset accounts normally have the debit balances, because whenever there is an increase in asset, you'll always be debiting that asset account, and that's why the asset accounts will generally have the debit balances, and therefore asset account balances are shown in the trial balance debit side. Now what is this RP? Sir, आपने RP लिखा, RIP होता है sir. We are not trying to put anything to rest in peace. You're just trying to identify the types of those accounts. Because the asset accounts include real account as well as personal account. Therefore, the trial balance debit side, if it is an asset, it will be either a real account or a personal account. When you take the example of a liability, liabilities will normally have the credit balances. So liability account balances will be shown in the credit side as the personal accounts, because all the amounts are either payable to a person or an individual. That's why the liabilities are put into the personal accounts. Then incomes, the rule for nominal account is debit all kharchas and losses and credit all incomes and gains. So accordingly, all the incomes will have the credit balances, and incomes are nothing but our nominal accounts or not. Yes or no? Similarly, the expenses will be having the debit balances, because the rule for nominal accounts is debit all kharchas and losses. Is it point right? So accordingly, when I'm preparing this trial balance, the ultimate total of this trial balance must be matching. The total on debit side must be equal to the total on credit side. If these two match, then in that case, it is said that books of accounts are arithmetically correct. Why I'm using the word as only arithmetically correct? Because value wise those may be correct, but if the amounts are not if the accounts are not being posted transferred correctly, then even if there is a mistake, it won't be reflected from our trial balance. So if you want to have the correct if you are having the arithmetic correctness in your trial balance, does not mean that the books of accounts are completely correct. There still may be a situation where you'll be finding that there are the errors in the books of accounts. All right. How and what we'll be talking about that. But for the time being, we need to understand that there can be the errors even if the trial balance is arithmetically correct. If it does not match, in that case, we simply say that there are the errors in books. Now, these errors need to be identified, these errors need to be rectified, and for that purpose, we need to understand the concept of rectification of errors. Am I clear up till now? Yes or no? Just raise hands for me. You want to write this? Just complete it fast. I'll come to that concept of suspense account, Chirag. Wait for it. That's fantastic, Rakshita. Yes, Meet will do it. How many marks for rectification? Approximately 6 to 8 marks. Rectification is the only topic which I have observed been asked in all the examinations related to CA Foundation. Not even a single exam they have missed out on rectification topic. बहुत बकवास होता था, अब मजा आएगा इशिका. You just try doing it. Yes, that's what the CA people do in the real life. They keep on doing the rectification of errors. You're absolutely correct, Shivam. पर सच में मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. बहुत दिनों के बाद तुम लोग का लेक्चर लेने को मिला है मुझे. I'm enjoying it. Yes, Neeraj. Generally, as per the current format that the ICI has, there is one full question which comes as an option in the examination. One full question comes as an option. Like as per the current kind of structure, question 1 is compulsory and any 4 from the rest. That's how they ask the questions. One full question is of 20 marks, Omkar. Is it done? Theory in the examination would come for approximately, say, 16 to 20 marks. Generally, theory questions are there in the examination and those surely come for 16 to 20 marks. Okay. Let me now come ahead to our concept of rectification of errors. All right. Now, very first that we need to understand is how to detect the errors. Based on what do we detect the errors if there are any in the books of accounts? The very first is that is by preparing trial balance. Because when you prepare trial balance, with the help of that, you understand if the debit total is not matching with the credit total, automatically there will be the error in the books of account. That's okay, Zainab. So when you are preparing the trial balance, just now we observed it, if the debit total of the trial balance match with the credit total of the thereof, that simply indicates that there are no arithmetic errors. But if these two are not matching, if the debit total is not equal to the credit total, in that case, that simply indicates that there are the errors in the books of accounts. So once you prepare the trial balance, you automatically come to know if there are any errors in the books of account. The second thing in that is how do I detect the errors is by doing bank reconciliation statement. Now, what is this bank reconciliation? Understand and observe very carefully. When you are preparing your cash book, you have a bank column in that. And in that bank column, you record the different transactions related to the bank. Now, these different transactions which you have recorded related to the bank, those transactions should be reflected there in the passbook also. You have recorded certain transactions in your cash book. There are certain transactions recorded in passbook. These should be the mirror image of each other. But if due to certain reasons you have made the mistakes in your cash book, your balance of cash book won't match with that of the passbook. अब क्योंकि आप कैश में डील कर रहे हो तो आप बैंक के ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए थोड़े ज्यादा सतर्क होते हो. So for that purpose, you try to observe if these two balances are matching. If those are not matching, in that case, you will try to get the observation after comparing your cash book with the passbook, the bank statement. You'll come to know that what are the reasons for difference. And some of those reasons for difference include the errors that you have done in your cash book. Like you have deposited the cash into the bank, but you forgot to record that in your cash book. You have issued a check to your supplier. You recorded it in the cash book debit side. You got the discount from your supplier, but you didn't record that. So you recorded that into the bank column of your cash book. So when you make these kind of mistakes while doing the reconciliation of your cash book with the bank book or bank passbook, you automatically come to know if there are any errors in the books of accounts. Now, there can be a situation where one of your customer has made you the excess payment. Excess payment by customer. Now, what does this mean? Suppose you have a customer from whom, as per your ledger account, as per your books of accounts, there is an amount of 30,000 receivable. पर उस कस्टमर ने आपको एक 50,000 रुपए का चेक या 50,000 रुपए की एनएफटी कर दी. आपने आपके बुक्स में चेक किया, कस्टमर से आना बाकी 30,000 रुपए. आपने बैंक में चेक किया, सामने वाले से एनईएफटी आरटीजीएस जो भी ऑनलाइन पेमेंट आया 50,000 रुपए का. अब 30,000 के गेन सामने वाला बंदा 50,000 रुपए का पेमेंट कर रहा है, तो अब ये बंदा भी मामू तो होगा नहीं कि जाने तो घर की बात है, ज्यादा पैसा गया तो भी चलता है. नथिंग ऑफ दैट कैन, none of the person is going to make you the excess payment. So if that's the situation, in that case you will cross verify. और वो क्रॉस वेरीफाई जब हम लोग करते हैं कि कस्टमर ने हमें 30 की जगह 50,000 रुपया क्यों भेजा, तो वी कैन कम अक्रॉस टू अ सिचुएशन wherein we understand that actual amount is receivable as 50,000. There was a sale of 20,000 which has been posted to a wrong account. आप सेल ए को कर रहे हो, आपने पोस्टिंग बी को कर दी, so then in that case there is an error in the books of accounts or not. And because of that excess payment by your customer only, you could realize the amount is receivable more than what is being actually shown in the ledger account or not. So that's why it is said that whenever a customer makes you the excess payment, you may come across. क्योंकि अब उस बंदे ने 20,000 रुपए ज्यादा भेजा, तो आप इमीडिएटली उसको फोन तो नहीं करोगे, भाई वो तुम्हारा ना 20,000 रुपए ज्यादा आ गया. वो तो बंदा तुमको इमीडिएटली बोलेगा वापस भेजो. हम लोग लॉजिकली क्या सोचेंगे, कॉमन सेंस के साथ क्या सोचेंगे, आ गया 20,000 रुपए रख लो, पहले चेक करो सच में अपना पैसा है या किसी और का है, और अगर एक्सेस आया है तो उसको गुड सप्लाई कर देंगे. That's how the particular person works. That's how the businesses work. They do not refund that amount immediately. They do not return that amount immediately. They first cross verify whether the amount was actually receivable or not. Am I right? अब इसी तरह सपोज मेरा कोई एक सप्लायर है, उसको मेरे लेजर अकाउंट के हिसाब से पेएबल है 50,000 रुपए, 50,000. But that supplier calls me up, मनीष भाई वो तुम्हारा ना 75,000 रुपए आना बाकी है. I said यार मेरे लेजर के हिसाब से तुमको 50 देना बाकी है. कहता नहीं नहीं नहीं, मेरा लेजर करेक्ट है, तुम्हारे से 75,000 आना बाकी है. So when he had said that 75,000 is receivable, he is asking for the excess payment. पहले आपके कस्टमर ने आपको एक्सेस पेमेंट किया था, अब आपका सप्लायर आपसे एक्सेस पेमेंट मांग रहा है। तो जब वो एक्सेस पेमेंट मांग रहा है, उस समय पे आप आपके बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट चेक करोगे वापस से कि भाई देना मेरे हिसाब से 50,000 रुपए, but that person is asking for 75,000. You come across to know that there is an amount of 25,000 which has been shown paid in the ledger account, but that amount was paid to someone else. या फिर कोई परचेज का ट्रांजैक्शन है जो आपने रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं किया. There can be n number of reasons why these balances are not matching, and those reasons may include the errors in your books of accounts. So if your supplier demands the excess money, supplier demands excess amount, in such case also you may be required to do the verification based on which you'll be able to understand the errors in your books of accounts. And the last situation in which way you can detect the errors is by getting your books of accounts audited, verified, checked by a professional accountant. When you are getting your books of accounts audited, the accountant not only checks, the CA not only checks whether your books of accounts are complying with the law, rules, regulations, etc. or not, but that person is also going to confirm whether your books of accounts are prepared correctly or not. And for that purpose, the audit is very much necessary. Now, this audit can be done in the statutory level, or it can be done at the internal level. Statutory audit means what? When an audit is required by a particular statute, by a particular law, by a particular provision of the law, then in that case it becomes a statutory audit. But if you are asking your books of accounts to be checked on your own, there is no legal requirement on that, then in that case it is called as an internal audit. Now, whether you are getting the books of accounts audited statutorily or internally, ultimately all the ledger entries or major ledger entries will be checked or not. And for that purpose, it is said that during the course of audit, you may come across if there are any errors in the books of accounts. Am I clear for everyone? Just write down. Done? Understand now. The stages of detecting the error. When the error comes across you, that is what we call as stages of detecting the error. These are not the stages where the errors have taken place. These are the stages where you could detect that there is an error in the books of accounts. It can be before preparing the trial balance, मतलब अब तक के आपने आपके लेजर अकाउंट का बैलेंसेस मतलब लेजर अकाउंट्स को क्लोज नहीं किया है. It can be after preparing the trial balance, or it can also be आफ्टर प्रिपेयरिंग द फाइनल अकाउंट्स. आपके पास समय नहीं था, आपने लेजर अकाउंट्स क्लोज कर दिए, आपने फाइनल अकाउंट बना दिए और उसके बाद आपको एरर मिल रही है. सो इट कैन बी आफ्टर प्रिपेयरिंग द फाइनल अकाउंट्स एज वेल, राइट? Now if you have detected the error before preparing the trial balance, the ledger accounts are not yet being closed, and therefore while rectifying the errors before preparing the trial balance, it is not necessary in all the cases that you should be passing a separate accounting entry for that. Those errors can get rectified within the respective ledger account itself. You're not supposed to pass the separate entry on that. Because what happens is when you pass the separate entry with reference to that, then in that case, you may come across the situation where the error is not affecting more than one account. In that case, to which account you should be giving the second effect also becomes a question. Understand what I'm saying? मान लो आपने 10,000 रुपए की परचेज की, इसे आपने परचेज बुक में रिकॉर्ड भी कर दिया, बिकॉज व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द सब्सिडियरी बुक, द परचेसेस हैव टू बी रिकॉर्डेड इन द परचेज बुक. बट यहां से सप्लायर को हमने पोस्टिंग की ही नहीं, सप्लायर को हमने क्रेडिट दिया ही नहीं उस 20,000 रुपए का. हालांकि परचेस अकाउंट इज डेबिटेड विद 20,000, बट सप्लायर अकाउंट इज नॉट क्रेडिटेड विद 20,000 येट. So in such case, in such situation, the amount of 20,000 which is not been credited to the supplier is to be correctly credited or not. And for that purpose, it is said that you should be passing the rectifying entry within the ledger account itself. There is no need to pass the separate accounting entry for rectification of such kind of errors. Am I right? However, if you detect the error after preparing the trial balance, now whether it is an error affecting the trial balance or not affecting the trial balance, the ultimate effect will remain same. That is, you need to pass the separate accounting entry for the rectification of such errors. So write down. You have you written this chart? Have you completed writing this chart? Complete writing this chart and then I'll be giving you the note on that further. Okay, write down. Errors detected before preparing trial balance. इधर ही मैं इशिका कहीं नहीं जा रहा है. Write down. अरे तू क्या मैगी बना रही क्या? Yes. Errors detected before preparing trial balance. And that When the errors are detected before preparing trial balance, when the errors are detected before preparing the trial balance, it is not necessary, to pass a separate accounting entry for the rectification. To pass the separate accounting entry for the rectification. Next point. As the ledger accounts are not yet balanced, as the ledger accounts are not yet balanced, comma, the errors, if any, can be rectified within the respective ledger account itself. Within the respective ledger account itself. Next point. So if the error is affecting only one account, if the error is affecting only one account, the rectification is done within the respective account. The rectification is done within the respective account, comma, however, if the error is detected after, if the error is affecting two different accounts, comma, the rectification thereof will be done by passing a separate accounting entry. All right. Next one, write down. Error detected after trial balance or final accounts. Error detected after the trial balance or final accounts. Under that, write down. Such type of errors are always rectified by passing a separate accounting entry. Next point. If the error affects only one account, The rectification entry is passed. The rectification entry is completed with the help of suspense account. If the error is affecting only one account, the rectification entry is completed with the help of suspense account. Whereas if it is affecting two different accounts, we'll be talking about that, Janvi. How do we know how many accounts are affected? We'll be discussing that, and with the help of that, you'll be able to understand that. आज तो बेटा शुरुआत हुई है, अभी तो बहुत चर्चा करना बाकी है. हाँ, if the error is affecting two different accounts, then rectification entry will have both the affected accounts. Then the rectification entry will have both the affected accounts. Is this point right for all? Problem solving will take some time, Abbas. First, we need to learn the concepts. Up till now, is it okay for everyone? Yes, so I'll stop by here itself. In our next session, that is tomorrow at 3:15, we'll be talking about the further concept related to rectification. That's it. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.